of God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on our agenda is public comment. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in public comment? You have 3 minutes. Bob, come on up and introduce yourself, please, and sign the sheet.
Good evening. My name is Bob Young. I'm a town meeting member, Precinct 3. I'm here on an issue that this committee has been talking about for a long time, and some things have happened. I want to come up here rather than just talk to people offline, but I'd like to continue those conversations in something new. So obviously try to keep it brief. The first one is the double pole issue. I know that many of you on this committee are concerned about it, as I am, and I think other people are in this town. But I'm here because within the last couple of months, they continue without any regard to the public at all. The Eversource, for instance, Mueller Road, right down on Lexington Street by Old Colony Road. There's one in my neighborhood right near Valley Circle. And then there's some that are older. There's one at the corner of Lexington and Shady Hill. Been there for like a decade. Car hit it. It's been there over a decade. There's one right in the middle of my neighborhood, again, 10 years. I know the governor has, I guess, some kind of bill, but I'm going to have to ask if we've been in touch with Ken Gordon or senators. And in fact, as I say, they have no fear of anything. Maybe we need to look at some other possibilities to apply some pressure and get some respect, but it's all over this state, as we know. The other issue is I had a landscape company in my neighborhood the other day, and for 4 hours they were blowing. And it's been a problem before, but it's right kind of on my mind because I think Lexington and Arlington have banned them. I can tell you, I did not see them pull out a rake once. So it's really, I don't like to create laws per se, but when it gets to this point, sometimes there's 2 landscapers in the neighborhood at a time, 2 people running those at the same time, and again, not even a rake. Now, I've seen other equipment. It's like an electric fan, basically, on 2 wheels, and they can use it. I don't see those anymore. So I would like to talk to this committee offline. I hope we can do something about it. I think it's a serious problem, and I hope you'll join me in an effort to find a solution, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Alex? Also introduce yourself and sign the book, and then we know who you are. Thank you. 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I live in Pine Glen. I'm here tonight to speak on the importance of speaking. As you may have noticed, I'm here almost every meeting for Citizens Time, and that's because I believe in speaking up. A great portion of our culture is what we say. It's also a lot of other things, like what we do, and if that matches what we say, but what we say out loud is still really important. It's part of what shapes our reality. It's our communication. It matters a lot. This is why I think it's valuable for Burlington to pass a set of policies to affirm the commitment to the safety, dignity, and constitutional rights of our residents. Providence, Rhode Island recently passed a set of these policies, and so did Lexington. Lexington's Select Board passed a resolution affirming constitutional rights, protecting municipal facilities, and providing guidance regarding civil immigration enforcement in March of this year. I think we can workshop on more concise titles than Lexington's, but I do think that affirming a policy like this for citizens is a really fantastic idea. It's something that this select board can do to tell people out loud that they matter and their rights matter, and that they deserve to feel safe and welcomed in our community. I have some ideas for what this could look like in Burlington, which I've started adapting after getting feedback. I'll email these to the select board this week for your feedback, and I'd welcome any more ideas that you have about what the select board can do to tell citizens about how you feel. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Alex. Anybody else in the room for public participation? Anybody online? All right. So each year, first item of business, an annual tradition for our board is to reorganize after the election. And we choose a new chair and vice chair to serve for the upcoming year. And I want to thank my fellow board members for the past year and showing their confidence in me to lead the board, and I'll happily pass it along this year. So I will, with that said, I'll take a nomination for chairman of the select board.
I'll make a nomination to vote Jimmy Tiggs as chair.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Former chair is also an aye, so that's 5-0. Mr. Tickis, you can take the reins.
I'll switch him after. I'll switch him after.
You want to switch it?
I'll switch him after.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Past Chairman. I'd like to thank my colleagues for that vote of confidence and for voting me in as the new chair. I want to say something about this board to the public. Other towns, their boards make headlines, and not always for good reasons. But I can tell you right now, I like being chair, I like being the board, but I love the members of this board. Because even though we may have diametrically opposed views or opinions on something, every one of these members treat the other members with respect and professionalism, whether they agree or disagree. So you're looking at a board that works together, that gets things done, and I'm proud to be the chair for the next year. Okay, now, that being said, I'll take a motion for a vice chair.
I'll make a motion for Sarah Colley, her vice chair.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. It's 5-0-0. Congratulations, Sarah.
You're gonna go. I'm gonna go before.
Those are mine. Those were mine, you silly. This is
No, can I? Am I not supposed to? I did.
We really list those four there. But doesn't matter.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, item number 4 on the agenda is appointment, Assistant Fire Chief. Chief, Mark, you come up. Mr. Denizio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you can see, we have Chief and his appointment here. I'll let the Chief start off, and then I'll save my comments for after.
Yeah, sure. Good evening. Congratulations on your new roles. Due to the impending retirement of Assistant Chief McLean, I'm here to recommend Captain Mark Cedrone for promotion to Assistant Fire Chief. Mark's been a valued member for the past 25 years. He was appointed in 2001, promoted to Lieutenant 2008, and Captain in 2017. For the past 7 years, he's been the Training Communications Captain. In this role, he oversees the training and onboarding of all of our new hires, transfers, and dispatches, as well as the department's continuing training throughout the year. He's led multiple apparatus design and purchase committees. He was instrumental in the purchase, training, and implementation of our new CAD, computer-aided dispatch, and record-keeping system. And he did all that while maintaining his regular job as far as training and coordinating throughout the year. He holds multiple certifications and taken numerous continuing ed classes through both the Mass Fire Academy and the National Fire Academy, too numerous to list. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Finance from Lowell, as well as an associate's degree in Fire Science from Middlesex Community College. He's joined here tonight by his wife Cindy and their son Sam, who's a paramedic with Boston EMS, and their other 3 children are watching online. Mr. Denizio, I'd like to recommend you promote Captain Mark Cedrone to the position of Assistant Fire Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chief. You may remember back, this process started when Chief Connerty announced that he was going to be retiring, and we set up the assessment center, and knowing about the retirement of Assistant Chief McLean coming up was a great opportunity for us to use the assessment center to figure out the two leaders of our department. And when we went through, I think you heard me talk about that with the promotion of Chief Brown, of what a great assessment tool it was, what tremendous amount of talent we have over at our fire department. And it was obvious, the hope for us is there would be a clear a 1 and 2 come out of that. And that's what happened, but we wanted to make sure we had a chief that agreed with who everybody else thought was in second place. And so that's what we did, and that moves us here to today to appoint Captain Cedrone to Assistant Chief Cedrone effective May 4th, and I ask the board to waive their 15-day waiting period.
Wait, does it need to be waived?
It doesn't technically.
Okay, all right. All right, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. I'm on aye as well, 500. Congratulations, Mark.
Congratulations.
Do a picture?
Do you want me to use your phone? Do you want me to use your phone?
Watch your step.
Thank you.
Watch your step.
Oh, he's going first. You go next, I'll go last. Comment last one. Great.
Before anybody goes,
Duck walk.
before anybody goes, Assistant Chief McLean is present, and I would like to thank him and honor him for his many, Steve, how many years? 33. 33 years of service to the town of Burlington. Thank you, Steve.
Gary, that's when it's time to go.
Okay, we'll give the second for the room to clear out.
Sarah, you can drink that water. Oh, he's got camel with his.
Yeah, just, Warren to check with
I didn't even hear it. I heard there's a 1 and 2 leadership. Talk to me.
Okay. Item number 5 on the agenda is appointment, DPW. There's 3 of them. Brian, Anthony.
Hello. I have 2, and then I think Tom's going to come up here and
Yep.
do one after that.
Right.
So we've got a highway position to fill, as well as a sewer pump station operator position. And after conducting interviews for a pump station operator, I'm pleased to recommend Daniel Matarazzo. Mr. Matarazzo had previously served within our DPW, where he demonstrated a strong work ethic, reliability, and a solid understanding of our operations. During his prior employment, he performed his duties proficiently, and he was a dependable member of the team. He currently holds a CDLB as well as a 2A hoisting license, and he's working towards acquiring the 1B. And given his previous performance and knowledge of the pump station operator role, I believe he'll once again be a valuable addition to our department, and I ask that his start date be April 14th.
Thank you, Anthony. Mr. Denizio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to welcome back and appoint Daniel Matarazzo as pump station operator for the town of Burlington, effective April 14th, 2026, and ask the board to waive their 15-day waiting period.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and the chair is an aye. 5-0. Danny, you have-
Just step.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Okay, next one.
Next, we have our Highway Division, and after conducting interviews for the Special Heavy Equipment Operator role, I'd like to recommend Jason Silva. Mr. Silva brings over 10 years of experience as a CDL Class A driver with a strong background in equipment operation. He currently holds the 2A hoisting license, and he's actively working toward acquiring the 1B, 4E, and 4G. His experience in equipment operation and road maintenance with the Riga DPW, performing street and sidewalk repairs, make him a great addition to our team. Additionally, his extensive expertise in snow plowing and snow removal practices enhances his qualifications and significantly strengthens his value to the DPW. I believe his background, skills, and knowledge will make him a valuable asset, and I'd like to recommend his start date be April 21st.
Mr. Denizio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to welcome and appoint Jason Silva as Special Heavy Equipment Operator for the DPW, effective April 21st, 2026, and I ask the board to waive their 15-day waiting period.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. 5-0 in favor.
Welcome.
You like Burlington better.
Congratulations.
Tom, you going to take this one?
I will.
Thank you.
So tonight, we're pushing forward with Kayla Andrade for procurement specialist with the engineering division. She was one of 18 applicants that applied for the job. We shortlisted 8, and 4 took the interview. She has a significant background on the private sector as a purchasing agent, and I'd like to have her appointed tonight.
Thank you, Tom. Mr. Denizio.
Tom and Brian's recommendation, I would like to appoint Kayla Andrade as the Engineering Procurement Specialist for the Engineering Department, effective April 21st, 2026, and ask the board to waive their 15-day waiting.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chairs and aye. 5-0. Congratulations.
Bunch of step there, kid.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Okay, item number 6, appointment to Government Review Committee. Mr. Priest.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the Government Review Committee has been chugging along. This is a intensive working committee that has been pencils down since last summer. And, over the course of a committee that's going to be in existence for 18 months, the ebb and flow, especially committee size, and a vacancy appeared that we sought to fill. Like we typically do, we put out the ad, we ask folks to, volunteer their time, and we had someone come forward last Monday, Sarah, right? Mm-hmm. Sarah and I had the opportunity to sit down with this gentleman. He's been a resident for a number of years, has his master's from MIT, as an application and process engineer, supporting oil and gas companies, just a very, very refreshing perspective, I'll say. And I think a welcome addition to this committee. He'd also met with Betsy as the current chair of the Government Review Committee, and everyone felt positive. So I'd like to move forward Karthik, Patrick, help me out. I was saying it good before.
Rajaskaran.
Rajaskaran as a new member on the committee. And Karthik, I'm sorry for butchering your last name.
Thank you, Mr. Priest. Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve Nick's recommendation to the government review. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Congratulations. Is he here?
Not here, is he here?
No, he's not.
All right. Okay, item number 7, proclamation, Armenian genocide commemoration. Mr. Priest.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Stephen, are you here?
We've got some folks.
Okay,
Come on up.
There's some here, but these are residents of Burlington.
Thank you folks for coming.
all right. Would you like to read something? Is that what it is?
Yeah, is that possible?
Yeah, that's possible. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Alex Markarian. I live on Lang Circle. I am here representing the local citizens of Armenian heritage and the Armenian national community. On behalf of the Armenian community of Burlington, we extend our deep appreciation of the town of Burlington for helping us remind residents of the Armenian genocide, which at the hands of the Turkish Ottoman Empire claimed the lives of over 1.5 million Armenian men and women and children from 1915 to 1923. Essentially, every Armenian resident in Burlington is a child, a grandchild, or a great-grandchild of a survivor of the Armenian genocide. The survivors somehow survived the horrors of the genocide and eventually found a home in the country seeking a safe place to live, raise their families, practice their religion, and educate their children. The Armenians have established communities with churches, schools, and cultural centers. Burlington has also always been a welcoming community to Armenian fleeing oppression from different parts of the world, especially the Middle East as well as Azerbaijan. It is our responsibility to our ancestors, our people, our nation, and to the world to not forget what happened in 1915 and to have these crimes recognized, the perpetrators made accountable. If not, history will continue to repeat itself. Genocides build on each other. The perpetrator of a genocide often draws inspiration from previous genocides that they deemed successful. Right before Hitler's army invaded Poland at the start of World War II, he said, "Who after all speaks today of the annihilation of the Armenians?" Since then, we have been seeing many genocides, including the Jewish Holocaust and more recent in those such as the Rwanda, Bosnia, and Darfur. With today's proclamation, not only does Burlington honor the hallowed memory of the men, women, and children who perished during the 1915-1923 Armenian genocide, but all victims of genocide and Holocaust. We stand proud here in the town of Burlington, vowing never to forget their sacrifice. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Priest.
Yes. So today's proclamation. Whereas Armenians fled increasing oppression from the Ottoman government during the 20th century, coming to America in search of freedom, where they could live in dignity without fear and oppression. And whereas, like many ethnic groups, Armenians settled in Burlington seeking a safe place to live, raise their families, practice their religion, and educate their children, they became an asset to the growth and vitality of the town of Burlington through their strong work ethic, family values, and civic pride. And whereas the Armenian community of Burlington is comprised of the children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of the survivors of the Armenian genocide. And whereas 1.5 million Armenian men, women, and children, victims of genocide, perished in the Ottoman Empire from 1915 to 1923. Therefore, the town of Burlington does hereby issue this proclamation of remembrance of the Armenian Genocide of 1915 and encourage residents to take part in the observance of Armenian Genocide Memorial Day on April 24th, 2026. Here signed, the Select Board.
No problem, thank you. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for reading.
Coming in.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Okay, next item on the agenda, number 8, approval for the Burlington Baseball and Softball Association parade. I know we've approved this with representation and without representation, but I'll ask, is there anyone here from BBSA? No? Okay. Want to just take this, John, real quick?
Sure, unless someone wants to take it. But if not, it's this is through the annual opening day parade that runs from the 61 Center Street down to Marshall Simons Field. And it's at 8 a.m.
Simons Park.
Marshall, to Simons Park, yep. Park, got it. That's why you should have taken it.
I know.
They are doing this on April 25th at 8 a.m. and with a rain date of the next day on the 26th at 8 a.m. Police are aware, DPW is aware, folks are aware, we'll put it on the electronic message board.
Great.
Like you said, we have done this
Right.
with or without representation. It's an annual item.
Thank you, Mr. Denizio. Any comments or motions? Yes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, it's a really great event. They line up all the little leaguers and softball players, and they march in their uniforms all the way up to Simons Park. So I think they just brought it back last year after a little hiatus. So it's a good event, gets the kids out, a nice way to start the season. And thank you to the BBSA for bringing back the parade tradition. It's a very, very cool day for all the little leaguers and softball players. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else?
I'll just add, they also bring out the baseball and softball teams from the high school to welcome them on the Simons Park field. And it's really cool. They're like, the kids look up to those kids, so it's a really great event. So thank you, BBSA, for putting that on.
That's awesome. Okay, I'll take a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chairs and I, 500. Okay, item number 9, approval statement of interest for Burlington High School. Bob?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just have a quick introduction of what this is and what it isn't. So we have Bob Cuney here, who can give you the details or any details you need. This is the annual vote required to prioritize one of the statements of interest that go into the MSBA. It probably sounds familiar because I think you've done it a dozen times already. So this doesn't tie the town to a project, and it doesn't guarantee the MSBA is going to fund a project. It's just required for us to submit a submission as the town's priority. It's required to go with a vote of both the select board and the school committee. So it's more of a housekeeping matter. Bob did share the SOI with you folks and got some feedback from some of you before it's finalized, so that's good. But I'll turn it over to Bob. If anything to add, Bob?
Again, I think you did a great job. Small correction, this is the 14th time that we've submitted for the high school, if you all do support this. But again, we were just talking about this earlier with one of the residents here, and we need to try, right? We won't get any state funding if we don't submit the application. As Mr. Denizio mentioned, this is definitely just for the chance to be put into the running. This does not commit us to anything. People may want to know, well, what happens once we get into it? Well, then we'll have to form an SBC again, even though we have a Burlington High School building committee, and we will have to follow the MSBA's process. So that means we'll have to go through eligibility, we'll have to go through a feasibility, very scripted process. And what will the outcome be? I don't know. I can't answer that yet until the committee makes a decision and moves forward, right? So, like I said, we just like your support for the ability to enter this into the MSBA's pipeline. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kuna. And this requires very specific script, as you stated. The motion has to be read in a public meeting at one of our, and it's very, very specific. And I've asked one of our members if they'd be willing to read that. And Sarah? Actually, any comment first?
Points at me.
He knows. Well, he does know. I was a betting man.
Nick, do you have any questions?
It's a fair bet because I do have a question.
Great.
One question, and then I'll stop. 14th year, obviously, we want to submit because if we don't submit, like you said, we don't get any money, right? But knowing that we're coming off of the failed, that excluded debt.
Correct.
What's different in this submission that we feel maybe more confident in that we have updated?
Great question. With this particular submission, a newly formed SBC with some existing members from the previous building committee, more residents, more staff. There's actually 27 members total in the SBC. This was shared publicly to that group, and every member of that group was able to edit and manipulate this statement of interest. So collectively and collaboratively, 27 members put in feedback. So this will look slightly different, even though it's the same building. The words look different, the categories look slightly different, and ultimately just more effort went into this submission.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Bob, for coming tonight and for trying. We're right now in the MSBA for Fox Hill. Will that preclude us from being selected for the high school, or will that immediately disqualify us? Or I'm guessing since we're applying, it won't.
Immediately disqualify us is tough. So the MSBA has a standard that they typically don't like to have two projects from the same town in the pipeline at the same time. But because it's a luck system, it depends on how much funding is available, how many projects are actually submitted, and which ones are actually accepted into the pipeline. There's always a chance, right? So we won't know because every year there's different submissions. Even if a town or a city is selected, then they still need to go through the process, and there's a chance that they don't continue through. So again, the opportunity really to submit is an opportunity, and I fully support trying.
Absolutely. With it being our 14th crack at the high school, did we learn anything through the Fox Hill process that's kind of helping us this time that we didn't know before after we got accepted because of Fox Hill, through Fox Hill, or is it the same kind of deal?
I don't want to make a comment on did we learn anything, because we always learn every submission.
Yeah.
The thing that really sets apart, the high school from Fox Hill is the size of the building and I believe population. So the enrollment at Fox Hill was definitely a factor, and the age and condition of the building, of course. The high school, we don't really have the enrollment pressure, but we do have the age of the building as a factor. So we just have to look at it differently. We cannot check one of the two boxes that are available for priorities. That enrollment is a pressure, where we were able to submit that for Fox Hill.
And last question, thinking positively, if accepted, we just went through that whole we did our own feasibility process, spending the $1.5 million. Will any of that work be able to be applied to the new school, or do we have to start over from scratch?
It depends on the MSBA. So ultimately, we follow the MSBA's process, but as I mentioned, it is a strict process, and timing is of the essence. So the longer we get away from that feasibility study, the less chance it's relative to us. Definitely a lot of the information that we've gathered from that feasibility study is still relevant. So again, depending on the OPM, depending on the designer that's put into place, none of the physical structure has really changed, so a lot of those reports are definitely relevant to the process, so that's going to help speed things up. But again, depending on the way or the angles or the options that the designer comes up with, and which way the SBC chooses to move forward with, I can't really comment on which avenue we would go yet. It's too early in that process to believe.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in, and thank you for all the hard work on it and keeping at it, and we just have to keep our fingers crossed that we've got to find a solution there. So thank you. I appreciate the efforts for you and the whole committee. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sarah?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for coming in, Bob, and for addressing the minor clerical issues that I sent you earlier today. I didn't want to take up too much time during the meeting with those, but I noticed that some of my questions have already been asked, but the statement of interest focused a lot on ADA noncompliance as well as the science labs. Those seem to be really the main focus. Has the focus of the building committee shifted a little bit in light of the failed vote last year to really focus on those and not necessarily the entire building?
I can't comment on the whole committee. We have had committee meetings since, and we're all taking time to collect, and understand the town's decision to not support that vote. That being said, we've limited our request for funding this year for any high school projects. Also, too, we really wanted to focus and get some outreach on building this statement of interest so we can put that forward to the committee. As far as like the committee's overall vision for what's the next step, there's been some ideas. Of course, we want to put the statement of interest in, so that was the first priority. We also want to look at a multi-year plan, for renovation, but we have not committed to that yet. We haven't built that. We haven't fully discussed that, so there's nothing operational to share with this committee. But ultimately, we understood and we heard what the town said, that the timing wasn't right for the project that was put forward. But we can't give up on the high school, so we're going to keep coming back. Whether it's the right plan or wrong plan, we're going to present it, and we're going to try to see that we can get support for either a renovation, addition, or a new high school.
Okay, thank you. And one more question. Referring back to the question about Fox Hill, within the document, it says, "At no time shall a district have more than one prioritized SOI on file with the MSBA." Is Fox Hill still considered the SOI on file with the MSBA, or are they past that process?
So we are into a different phase of the process.
Okay.
I mean, ultimately, in MSBA's world, we're still in the pipeline, but we're no longer in the SOI process.
So that statement wouldn't discount us necessarily? Because
again, it's up to the MSBA to select us if they choose to, and if there's funding available for our project or for our wants. I believe the MSBA could clearly look at Fox Hill being in the pipeline and say that right now is not a good time for Burlington. But like I said, we're strictly putting this in because we should, and there's an opportunity in front of us. But that is a catch-22 that the MSBA definitely could use to not select Burlington, yes.
Okay, thank you, that's all.
Mr. Morandi?
No, I just want to say thank you because all the questions were asked and everything was good. So, Bob, just thanks for your time and giving us all this information to go forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jimmy Kent was raising his hand.
Yeah.
Just on the question.
Yes, Kent.
Yeah, just on the question on the MSBA, so I did.
Why don't you come up, Kent, and just identify yourself?
Not related to Joshua, but I just wanted to, at the school committee conference, I did go to a session this year. They have an annual one every year, and I did talk directly to the woman that's the head of the MSBA, and she said you have to specify what is your primary one. Now, what that definition means, and I did read some today that Bill Ricco was actually looking to do, I don't know, maybe it's where it's at, but they were looking to do a statement of intent because I think they have 2 middle schools, but they were going to put, I think, them both at the same time, but you have to delineate which one is your primary. And to Bob's point, I don't know which one, like, if you do them at the same time, I think you have to delineate, but it's to your point, I don't know, like, if you have one currently and then one's coming behind it, I don't know if that still applies. So that might be something to clarify, I don't know.
Hold on, Mr. Denizio.
Thanks. I just wanted to add on a couple things that the MSBA doesn't work in complete definites. It isn't you definitely have to start over with our feasibility study, and it isn't you definitely can't have 2 projects at the same time. I've worked in 2 school districts where we've had 2 projects going at the same time. In Winchester, we were just starting an elementary school when the high school got accepted into feasibility, so it can happen. Is it likely? Probably not, but it does happen sometimes.
Thank you. Mr. Kuna?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, first, thank you for that. On page 5, there is a checkbox where you have to select if this is our priority. We actually discussed this. We got advisement from MSBA. We did select no, that this is not our priority. And then the second checkbox that is available once you select no, we put Fox Hill. So Fox Hill is our priority right now, but that does not take away the need for us to submit for the high school.
Thank you.
And I will follow up. I did ask that question, and I got the answer that the
Anything
town
further
administrator.
from the members? All right.
Very non-committal.
So to me, it sounds like if you can't win if you don't play. So at least you got to try. You may not get it, but if we don't try, we know we're not going to get it. So I think it's definitely have my support. That being said, I'll be looking for a motion to approve the SOI for Burlington High School.
Do I
Oh, you have to read
this?
it, you have to
Yes.
read, yeah, you have to read the motion.
There's very prescriptive language around this motion, so bear with me. Motion for MSBA Statement of Interest for BHS. Resolved, having convened in an open meeting on April 13th, 2026, prior to the SOI submission closing date, the Select Board of Burlington, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the Statement of Interest, form date 4/8/2026, for the Burlington High School located at 123 Cambridge Street, which describes and explains the following deficiencies in the priority category for which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future. Priority 3, prevention of the loss of accreditation. Priority 5, replacement, renovation, or modernization of school facility systems. And priority 7, replacement of or addition to obsolete buildings in order to provide for a full range of programs consistent with state and approval local requirements. And hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits Burlington to filing an application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
Is there a second to that? Yes.
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Spail. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the chair's an aye, 5-0-0.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you all.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the feasibility study at Shawshene Tech. Mr. Superintendent McIntosh and Ms. Huberty. Just please identify yourself, and, oh, Kent as well.
Tony McIntosh, Superintendent Director, Shawshene Valley Technical High School.
Ken Moffett, one of the reps for Shawshene.
Stacy Huberty, one of the Burlington School Committee representatives.
Okay.
So I know the presentation in the one-pager was shared with the committee ahead of time, so just do maybe a quick run-through here if there's any questions. And thank you, Mr. Denizio, for,
Do you mind if I just before we get started, just to kind of go over it, what we're doing here?
Yep.
So this is for Article 19 that was submitted on the May town meeting warrant. It's for, to fund the Burlington share of a $1.5 million feasibility study. The folks at Shawshene are already in the MSBA process and working their way through it. They've been invited into feasibility and need to have that appropriation throughout the 5 towns. Burlington's share is a not to exceed number of $165,737, and that will come from free cash. So I just want to kind of give a quick overview of what it is you're going to be taking a vote on here today. And Superintendent McIntosh has a bunch of stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Denise.
Guys, one more point. We did present as part of the budget to Ways and Means last week, and they supported these bills.
Okay. Mr. McIntosh.
thank you. Mr. Denizio, can we have the next slide? So just a quick visual representation here. Like Mr. Denizio had said, we've submitted our statement of interest. We've been accepted into the eligibility period. You can see we're looking to move forward with feasibility, which again would shift to owner's project manager, design team. So that's the funding that we're here to ask you to support tonight. Next slide, please. Just a quick overview of Module 1. Again, we've submitted all of these reports to date. The only thing that we have outstanding is the funding for the feasibility study. We had to do Chapter 74 viability report, which is a little bit different than the traditional statement of interest piece. Because we do have shop programs, we have vocational programs in our school. We had to do the ed profile. We had to do the maintenance report. We had to do everything that everybody else does, plus make some predictions about our shop programs, what we want to grow, what we may shrink back a little bit, what we want to add. So that was part of this process as well. Next slide, please. Next phase for us, we have established a school building committee. Mr. Moffett is actually one of the members. We made sure to include parents. We have members from each one of our 5 sending communities. We are trying to be as inclusive as we can in this process. We anticipate, this is going to go on for a number of years. I'm sure there'll be some turnover. We'll have some people join us. We'll have some people leave us. We're currently, I think, 15 or 16 people. That may grow a little bit. That may shrink a little bit depending on where we are in the process. But again, if this funding is approved, this would go to MSBA for their June meeting. If they vote to move us forward in the pipeline, we'd be looking to hire an owner's project manager, excuse me.
You can use OPM, we get that.
Yeah, OPM, thank you. Next slide, please. As part of that process, again, this is very scripted, as the last gentleman had said. We have to follow MSBA's timeline. We have to follow their process, their procedures. So that would get us through. Module 2 would be the designer selection process. Next slide. Module 3 is the actual feasibility study. This is where they come back with some proposals. This is what a renovation would look like. This is what an expansion would look like. This is what a rebuild would look like. Here's the funding scenarios. Here's what MSBA is going to contribute. What the allowable costs are. What exists outside of that. So as part of the feasibility study, they'll look at the educational programs, and again, for us, that includes the 20-plus. We currently have 20 shop programs. We have proposed to add possibly 2 more if we move forward with this building project. They'll generate a square footage or an initial space summary. They'll document all the existing conditions, which to me is a win regardless of how we move forward with this. Then we know what systems need to be addressed, what we have to do in the short term to keep the building open, and then again, if this potentially leads into a new project. They'll establish design parameters, again, what's included, what's not, the scope, if you will. Talk about the different alternatives, and then they'll make a recommendation to their board as to whether they're going to fund this and move this project forward or not. Module 4, schematic design, if they vote to move forward and we get funding from our sending communities, which is a big if, moves into schematic design. We'll finish all of the detailed drawings, all the systems, all the structure, so they'll go through that whole process. That's also where they establish scope and budget and schedule. So as we come through schematic design in Module 4, we'll have a much better idea as to what this looks like, how long it's going to take, and what it's going to involve. When schematic design is done, we would go out for a funding vote to our communities. Again, this is a big project. I've heard a lot of the conversations about Burlington High School. This is probably in the same general scope or range of that. You gotta then back out what MSBA's contribution to the project would be, and then, obviously this would be divided up amongst our 5 sending communities. Based on the research that I've done, that would be based on the percentage of students enrolled in any given year, and those percentages obviously may change over, a 25 or 30-year bond. Those shares may go up or down depending upon what we see with student enrollment. Next slide, please. Module 6, design detail. This is, I got a little ahead of myself. This is where they go through and they finish all the mechanical systems. They look at the property layout. They look at parking. They look at all of the logistics around the project, and they come back with a really detailed plan. And this would be the start of procurement for materials and services to build the project. Next slide, please. Module 7, excuse me, construction. This is obviously the busiest part of the project, but they would continue on through this, following the scope and scale and timeline and budget that had been established in earlier steps. Next one, please. Completion of the project would wrap up. MSBA stops reimbursing at 95%, and then kind of lets that last 5% shake its way out so that they make sure that everything is done and everything's wrapped up before they make the final payments to all the contractors. Next slide, please. Post-occupancy evaluation, this was a new one to me when I first started looking into this, but MSBA actually goes back after the fact and collects information about what worked, what didn't work, what kind of suggestions we would have to improve future projects that were similar in scope or size or configuration. And that's really kind of the wrap-up as far as MSBA goes. And then I know that was kind of quick, but I also know you guys have, you've heard a lot about school building projects recently, so I also didn't want to get too far into the weeds and repeat a bunch of information that you've already heard.
That was a very good summary of the process. I'll start on this side. Mr. Morandi.
No, that was good. That was fantastic,
Yeah.
actually. Nice.
Thank you.
We've heard a lot.
Thank you for coming in. Yeah, we're pretty familiar with this process at this point. I did just want to, because it wasn't shared in the presentation, it was shared in our backup, talk about the Burlington's share of the costs. Yep. So if you could talk about that a little bit more and how you broke that down by town?
The feasibility study?
Yes, the cost of the feasibility study.
So what we looked at was the October 1st of 2025 enrollment numbers. And then we did a per-student fee, I believe it was like $1,162. I can find that number for you, I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but we looked at what Burlington's enrollment was on October 1st of 2025, multiplied it by that number to get that 165,737.
Interesting. Isn't Burlington's enrollment bumping up in the next year?
It is.
A bit?
Yep.
But we're going with that one.
We're going with that.
We're fine with that.
We had to pick a date. That's when the enrollment numbers are captured every year, so we went with the October 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just so the public is aware, the feasibility study is about 1.5 million. Burlington's share is 165,737.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you. John, did you have something to add?
I was just going to add that we're, in the feasibility study, we're getting off cheap because of the way they changed the lottery system. Our enrollment is only going to continue to go up with the amount, given the amount of applications that go there every year and the amount of seats we have allotted to us. We're going to go from the 10% minimum capital contribution to something closer to 20. So that's a good thing that more of our applicants are getting accepted up there, but it's also for us means an increase to the operating budget for the next few years, and then also a bigger share of the pie for the. But all of that is driven by the regional agreement. That's not didn't just decide to give us a break on this one and charge us more the next time. It's all driven by the calculation of the regional agreement.
Thank you. Mr. Spejo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for coming in tonight for the presentation. I do want to say we as a town are lucky to have an affiliation with Shawsheen. You guys are doing a great job over there, and I have friends that have kids over there, and they're really enjoying their experience at Shawsheen. And I have a 7th grader who just went through Project Explore, who was considering Shawsheen, so I took very keen interest on this one. What year was Shawsheen built?
1970.
And what's the current enrollment?
We're about just under 1,300.
1970. No, I'm happy to see that you're taking steps to modernize the building, and I'm fully in support. So I'd be in support of. It seems like we're getting off easy on the feasibility study after what we've paid in Fox Hill and BHS. So I'm in favor. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Priest.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What are the 2 areas of growth that you were talking about, the 2 shops?
The 2 proposed. So we are proposing to add biotechnology and early childhood education to our current slate of 20.
Awesome. I guess the question for anyone here who can answer it, would this affect our SOI for the high school? Or no, because it's a different town?
No, we're considered our own standalone municipality, so under the eyes of MSBA, this shouldn't affect anything that the town of Burlington's doing.
Okay. Beyond the space constraints, what other issues are you guys facing over there?
Aging system, again, the building was built in 1970. We have some space issues, but again, we have a lot of mechanical systems that are coming to the end of the useful life. I mean, one way or another, whether this moves forward and it's MSBA funded or not, we have a bunch of rooftop units that, are anywhere between 18 and 23 years old. You're talking dozens and dozens of those units that need to be replaced. And I've said this in numerous settings before, the electrical switchgear that comes into the building is the original one from when it was built in 1970. So every day we cross our fingers and we hope we don't have a problem with it, because there's no way that we're ever going to get parts or any type of manufacturer's service or anything like that. So we're looking at, as we upgrade systems around technology, as we need more power, as we need more things like that, those are issues. One of the big things that's kind of holding us back is we don't have a sprinkler system. So we've kind of broached the idea of strategically, can we add a little bit here? Can we bump out this section? And the answer keeps coming back no, because once you do that, then we have to meet current building code, which includes, a sprinkler system that's, if not $10 million, probably more than that at this point in time.
Okay. And then something you had said during the presentation, you had mentioned that every year it's possible for, obviously it will, the enrollment will change every year, but that will affect how much that we owe. So basically every year we're going to readjust how much we owe on the project based on the enrollment of that year?
That's the way the regional agreement is currently written. So those October 1st numbers each year would drive each community's share of the payment for the upcoming fiscal year.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mohandy?
Yes, thank you. This was a great program, I told you that. So, but the thing I want to bring up is the fact that how great Shawsheen really is as far as their academics, what they teach the kids in their sports. You want to run that down real quick. I mean, 2 Super Bowls, two hockey championship, basketball championship. Baseball team's doing pretty good this year.
Yep, I believe the boys lacrosse finished somewhere in state rankings last year. They have pretty much the same returning team this year. Girls lacrosse went to tournament play last year. Girls volleyball team, I know, has done very well the last 2 or 3 years. I don't remember if they won the tournament this year or not.
CAC, yes.
CAC, okay.
Yes.
So yes, we have a ton of very well-respected and very accomplished athletic teams. One of the things that we do that's unique that you don't see in our sending communities, there's an organization called Skills USA, which is a nationwide, essentially the kids compete in their shop area, the vocational program. This is kind of hot off the press. I haven't even informed the school committee of this, but we're going to be sending, I think, 38 students to the state conference this year. Every year we send pretty close to 40 kids. Last year, I believe we had a dozen or more that went to the national conference. And we had 2 national gold medal winners at the Skills USA National Conference last year. The other thing that I like to brag about is our cooperative education program. So our students, the end of their junior year and through their senior year, can actually go out and work during their shop week. So they go out, they gain skills, they help support local businesses. So we're super proud of the things we're doing with sports, with Skills USA, and with the cooperative education program as well. So.
Well, I was going to get into a lot of that stuff. I didn't have to know.
Sorry.
Oh, good. You have a better rundown than I do. I just know that they won 2 Super Bowls back-to-back, correct?
Yes, back-to-back years.
Both back-to-back, and I know a couple of the other things that go on.
Yep.
One of my customers, he's in that USA program right now. He's done quite well, so I get to hear a lot. My stepson goes there, so I get to hear a lot of it up there, what's going on in the school. So it's really, really impressive. Not just the school side of it, that they get to learn their skills, but they also get to play the sports just like every other high school. It's just fantastic. I think it's great. And a lot of them go off to college. You know?
Yep.
Good. Thank you.
Mr. Espejo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Another thing I wanted to add, too, is it's very important that we support Shawsheen because America has such a need for the tradesmen and tradeswomen. There's a need out there for it. And your vocations are AI-proof. We're always going to need our plumbers, our electricians, our cosmetic, people. And so it's another really great value that Shawsheen brings to our community. And so I wanted to say that, too. So thank you again. I'll stop this.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I might be getting ahead of ourselves with this question, but I did have a question about process and logistics, given that we just went through a debt exclusion vote in town that did not pass for our high school. How would that work when we get there? This is we're looking way ahead, but when we get to that point, depending on what our share is of the cost, we may have to go through a debt exclusion vote. And other towns may have to as well?
Yes.
How does that work?
It's very likely all 5 towns would do it on a debt exclusion.
And all 5 towns have to pass a debt exclusion?
Well, no,
it's a one-day district-wide vote, and it's a simple majority of whoever turns out to vote on that day commits all 5 towns to that and the debt exclusion.
So you lump the vote of all the towns together?
Correct. Yep. Yeah. It's a very different approval process than. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? All I can say is I hear nothing but positivity out of that school. I know students that went there, they loved it. I know students going there, they love it. And Joe, I'm glad you brought up the athletics part because not that there's any correlation to this between athletics and learning ability or learning, but you improved the athletic fields recently, in the last few years, and now your athletes are champions.
Yeah.
Okay? So I look at it this way. If you improve the school, you improve the student. So by making all these improvements, bringing it up to date, it's going to create better students in a newer building, a better building. So that's all I have to say. It's all good. Anything further?
Just to add, to echo everybody's accolades about the Shawsheen and the program and the relationship we have with them. Many of our employees here went to Shawsheen. Even more of our employees here have kids that went to Shawsheen or are going to Shawsheen. And we have an internship program that started a long time back. We currently have someone working as a mechanic with us that's a student at Shawsheen, so an even closer relationship there. In fact, Brian White, who's the DPW director here, started as an engineering intern when he was working when he was going to Shawsheen, and he went from intern to DPW director. So we've got a great history with Shawsheen and the relationship between the town.
That's good to know.
Awesome.
Okay, and if nothing further, I'll be looking for a motion to support the Shawsheen feasibility study in the amount not to exceed $165,737.
We'll move.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's 500.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Appreciate the support.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 11, approval of bonds and bans. Anna?
Thank you,
Denizio.
Mr. Chairman. While we wait for Anna to come up and give her spiel. So what happens every May at town meeting, we approve projects, and some of them are approved with bonding as the funding source. And the last part, that approval allows the treasurer to go out, and town meeting has authorized the treasurer to go out and borrow the money in whatever pattern he or she sees fit. And one of the requirements when they do that is to have the select board authorize those bonds and bans when they come up. So this is sort of the last piece, or it can be the first and last piece for many of the projects. But I don't want to steal anything Anna's planning to say, but I just wanted to tell you what we're doing here. So I'll pass it off to Anna.
There you go,
Thank
Anna.
you. On Tuesday, March 31st, the town received competitive bids from bond and note underwriters for a $33,495,000 25-year bond issue and a $30,770,000 one-year bond anticipation note. JP Morgan Securities was the winning bidder on the bonds with a total interest cost of 3.983%, and JP Morgan Securities was also the winning bidder on the notes with a net interest cost of 2.502%. The town received 10 bids on the bonds and 9 bids on the notes. Bond proceeds will be used to finance the police station design, demolition, and construction project. The note proceeds will be used to finance the Marshall Simons Middle School field renovation, Fox Hill Elementary School design and construction, Town Hall and Annex HVAC improvement projects. Prior to the sale, S&P Global Ratings, which is a municipal bond credit rating agency, affirmed the town's long-term rating of AAA, which is the highest long-term rating attainable. The rating agency cited the town's diverse economic base, solid financial performance, healthy reserves, well-embedded management framework, and a strong local incomes as positive credit factors.
Thank you, Anna.
Mr. Chairman, we talked, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Absolutely.
We had talked a bit when we were approving the debt service budget for next year about the timing of bonding versus band, and one of the things that we wanted to take advantage of, we're borrowing the entire project cost for the police station now, rather than what our typical move is to ban it for a couple of years, to try to take advantage of an interest rate that's at least a point higher than when we estimated what we were going to pay for when we ultimately borrowed for that project. We're also doing the initial ban for Fox Hill School that's starting this year, so those will take an effect on the in the tax levy at a different pace than we originally planned. So since both of them had significant savings in our bidding process and some savings in our interest rate, we feel like it's going to lessen the effect of how we ramp up into that eventual, whatever it is, $300 per household. So I just wanted to point out that the timing is a little different than when we first talked about it, but it been updated when we talked about the debt service budget. So this is all planned to have to pay back. So when you borrow the money, your first payment is the next fiscal year. So we typically borrow right around this time of year for projects that we've started this year, or we plan to start before June 30th, and then your first payment, if it's a ban, you just pay an interest payment, and if it's, the bond will have a principal and interest payment next year.
Thank you, Mr. Denizio. Starting this side, Nick.
No.
Sarah?
Got nothing, just thank you, Anna.
Yeah, thank you.
No, I've got nothing either, so if that's the case, I'll be looking for approval of the bonds and bans as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the chair's an aye, 500.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Okay, item number 12, the update and review, economic development. Alyssa. John, I'm sorry, can you just identify yourself for the record?
Sure. John Strauss, Precinct 4, live in Burlington.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. And board members, thank you for having us this evening. For the record, my name is Melissa Tentopoulos. I work as the Economic Development Director for the town of Burlington. And this evening, wanted to give you an update on two items. The Economic Development Summit from last month, as well as kind of the current status of the MPO and our role with the MPO. So the first one really is about kind of getting your directional kind of feedback on policies from the Economic Development Summit, or policies we'd like to kind of approach in terms of, if we do have a couple slides. I'll show the first one. I don't know if John had it or not. He did. Okay, that's okay. In your packet, we have a staff report that highlights some of the summary elements from the summit. So the summit was held on March 18th, and really the takeaway from the summit is that we have strong fundamentals, that geographically Burlington is really still very strong. However, there is significant pressure on the multi-office product, and that is not unique to Burlington, and it's not going away, and it's something we should be monitoring. And so with that, what we wanted to be a little bit more proactive about and really concentrate on is not just discussing it at these forums, but really trying to take some action on what we want to do going forward. And I'd love for, the board to hear any kind of feedback. In the report, there are the findings kind of that we pulled together, but more importantly, there are what we call potential action items. And we list 6 bulleted points on action items and work plan items. And I could go through them, and we can kind of see if that's kind of appropriate, if that's right.
Yes.
We have time. So ideally, we wanted to establish a commercial retention and rollover tracking effort. One of the biggest indicators, thank you there, for the slide itself is really noting that we do have what they're calling the net absorption on leases and lease renewals is in the negative over the last year. And we want to monitor that because when we notice when tenants are taking up new space, maybe they're taking up less space, or maybe they're moving somewhere else down 128. And what we want to do is go out there and do more retention efforts. And we want to establish more of a rigorous program working with the chamber, working with the brokers. So that's one thing we want to kind of organize more outreach. I'd like to come to the Board of Selectmen on a quarterly basis and use the same metrics that we identified for the summit and kind of use it as kind of a benchmarking number. So what we'll look at are these numbers. Currently, these are from JLL, the office inventory, the vacancy rate, and then the leasing numbers. Those come from broker data, and every brokerage house, they have their own proprietary data and how they cut the data, but we want to use some regular kind of standardized benchmarks and come back on a quarterly basis to update and see how we're doing. And then kind of moving forward, we also want to kind of follow up on those. We did hear a little bit about this at the summit. When a company does land somewhere else, let's figure out kind of how to follow up. Here we wrote it as like a lost deal. That's kind of more brokerage terms or broker terms. But we want to find out why they chose a different location. Is it cost? Is it location? Is it access to talent? And then we also want to look at two other things that are a little bit more on the land use policy side, which is about exploring targeted zoning or flexibility applied to certain office products. Because I think what we took away from this meeting last month is that not all commercial office is doomed. There are things that we can do. Certain products might need to be repositioned or reevaluated with new zoning and opportunities. Others, it's a little bit matter of time and other things that we can do to kind of promote the area. But with that, those, I think that is within our control to start looking and exploring land use policies that could help that. And then the last one was conduct fiscal analysis on tax-based scenarios. I think we're already starting to do that, but we take a little bit more rigorous role on doing some projections out. And I know our town administration team already has been doing that, but we maybe want to look at that in light of some of the other metrics we're using kind of to analyze the office product in Burlington. So that's what this kind of slide highlights in one slide. And I welcome any conversation or feedback on the direction of this work plan.
Thank you, Melissa. John, anything to add before we go to the members of the board? No? Start with Nick this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is great, Melissa. I'm glad that we have this. It's always important at the end of something to reflect on what the output of that thing was, that we can actually move forward, right? And so this was actually super helpful. I agree with the 6 recommendations here under the potential action items. I'd rank them in terms of, what you think you can start today, what you think you can start tomorrow, and what needs more time, right? And the stakeholders are across, all the, actions, because they're all valuable things to do, right? But we can't just have you and Kelly fall face first into all 6 of them, right? I especially resonated with the trackers, right? The retention rollover tracker and the loss tracker, right? Hearing that we were a potential candidate for Welch's at the summit, right? And why we didn't get it, I think are great pieces of information for us to capture, because there are a lot of things that happen. And I think that was another piece of wonderful insight from the summit. How particular each business is, the people that make up that business, the decisions they're making, the needs of that business, their culture are all relative factors into where they're picking a location, right? So it's impossible to cater to every single business to be like, yeah, come here, right? But to know why we're missing out, if there's a trend in that, right, then we can, consider our options. I will say something that I did find interesting that I would throw as a word of caution was how they spoke about how quickly everyone moved into the biotech sector and how quickly everyone stopped, right? How it was like a 7-year trajectory from, oh my God, yes, to whoa, too much, right? And, there are some, pieces of property that were developed for that, not just in Burlington, that are sitting vacant because it was a little too much, right? And so I think that's a great cautionary tale to say everything we do should be under the cautious step forward mentality, right? Is yes, we want to make sure that our economic viability stays, positive and black, but we shouldn't just go all in because we think it's a great idea right now, right? And I think a perfect example of that is the conversion of commercial to residential, right? It makes sense, yes, but every empty office park shouldn't just be turned into housing tomorrow because we think it's not going to work out, right? There are too many variables to predict what's going to happen in another 7 years, right? To say, oh, sure, let's just jump in on this. So I'm all for collecting data. I'm all for seeing what makes sense. I'm all for pilot testing where we can, right? And, then as things rise to the surface, we can, proverbially pull the trigger on a couple of them. So thank you for everything you guys are doing. I appreciate it. And that's everything I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Priest. Mr. Espejo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Melissa, I want to thank you for putting on the Economic Summit. I thought it was very beneficial and very informative. Didn't really know what to expect going in. I was kind of like, is this going to be worth our time or just going to be a bunch of realtor talk? But it was actually very topical, very informative, and very good. And even for this board, I noticed, even in our last meeting, you kind of have set our thoughts on a lot of the stuff that was talked about in that meeting. We are now looking at stuff that comes before us and putting it through that lens to kind of make sure, how is this going to impact occupancy, how it's going to impact our commercial base. And it was perfectly timed because it's kind of a scary time out there with our occupancy rates, and it kind of gave us some focus and kind of let us know to kind of look closer at things and the impact of things. And I just want to thank you, and I look forward to the next one moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Colley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Melissa, for coming in. I echo the sentiments of my fellow board members. I thought the summit was great. I really think these action items are a great first step to be able to establish these and really get a sense and a hold and a process in place of how we can monitor this activity with our tenants and be proactive. And that seems to be the common theme with these action items, is being proactive and not reactive. I wonder if, and these are all sort of focused solely on Burlington. I think one thing that was mentioned at the summit was starting to look outside of Burlington, or if there's a way we could look at the tenants in Waltham and Cambridge and these big tenants that may be looking to come to Burlington, and when their leases come up, and how we can be proactive that way outside to bring them in. So I think all of these action items are really internal and they're necessary and important. I wonder if maybe phase 2 is focusing or putting some action items outside of Burlington and how we can bring tenants in. So that was my only comment. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that or want to share anything about that.
Yes, Chairman Tigas. Yes, I think you're very much in the same kind of line of thinking. I think the leaning into the broker community is how kind of we're envisioning this to kind of work, not only for those leases that are kind of coming due in Burlington, but they also have a good pulse of the tenants outside of Burlington in the 128 district. So I think the idea is to have a more structured or systematized kind of meeting collective with the brokers so that we can understand those kind of the same dynamics that are happening outside and for opportunities to bring them in. So it's the other side of the coin of the same thing, but part of what we're thinking.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's all I had.
Melissa, I know we've talked one-on-one about this, but again, that summit was phenomenal. I loved how they said, don't think about tomorrow, think about the next 5 years. Make your picture, the window bigger. A lot of our zoning is back from the 60s, 70s, when offices were the rage. Well, it's no longer the rage, so changes in zoning with, in compliance with the, in conjunction with the planning board, the target zoning, or spot zoning that you mentioned, I think we need to start looking at those. We see how it's going to work at Mall and Middlesex, and we just take an area that doesn't work and make it work. So, and I'll ask any residents out there, I don't want to put it on the board, but if you want to email me, tell me something that you go out of town for. Because if you're going out of town for it, we want to get it here, so you don't have to leave town. But I thank you for the update. It was great. Mr. Denizio?
Just a couple things to add. I think I missed the beginning because I had to step out for a second, but I'm sure Melissa mentioned that there will be a couple other...
I haven't mentioned that yet.
Okay. Well, then I won't mention it. The other part was, what was important for this was for Melissa to share the report, talk about what the takeaways and action items that the staff has planned, to get the board's feedback, which she was able to get. Doesn't have to just be today. You know, she's always available to talk, and if something comes to you after that. But this will be a march forward after we leave here today on those action items. So I think it's important for the board to understand that.
John, did you want to say anything, or?
I'm going to just, I'm not going to follow in those big shoes.
Okay.
Melissa's going to say something.
Melissa, do you have a follow-up?
On this item, no. There's one additional update that I'd like to mention.
Now?
No. So in terms of the commercial office summit, I feel like that, I mean, I think I hear you in terms, if I kind of can paraphrase everything, the direction seems adequate, maybe getting more priority, including make sure that it's outside of Burlington, kind of any outreach that we're doing and looking at the analysis and coming back on a quarterly basis is, sounds like a plan. The other two things that John mentioned was just that in the process of having this discussion, we really wanted to focus in on commercial office, but the idea of, you know, really understanding the needs of the small business and the challenges or anything, opportunities that they have. We want to do a similar summit. We're thinking of early fall for a small business summit for Burlington, and complementing that, we'd like to do kind of more of a tax type summit, property or kind of tax revenue summit. So there's so much nuance and detail behind that. I know, you know, John and Patrick have talked about, you know, organizing that in kind of a complementary fashion so people have an understanding of that and can ask a lot of questions around commercial property tax and how that works as well. So that would be in later fall.
I think it's important, as we always talk about it anytime we're talking to other groups, it's just the makeup of the industries that exist in Burlington. You know, we have the staple of the mall, been here for 50 years. We have office, yeah, of course. We have medical with the Leahy, with a regional medical center here. We have educational. We just have we're very lucky to have that nice mix. We also are the restaurant capital of the suburbs, I'm sure. We have the most high-end restaurants in any suburb, I think, outside of Boston. So I think we're very lucky to have that. And the office market was just a kickoff. It was the one to concentrate on. It's the one people worry about the most right now. So that it won't stop there. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Mr. Denizio. And we may be adding to that menu of restaurants, pun intended. Anything further from the board? Okay, this is just an update. John, thank you for coming out. Or do you have something you want to add?
Yes.
All right.
So the second item I wanted to bring up was the update from the MPO.
Okay.
So this is kind of transitioning to the Metropolitan Planning Office for Boston. And what I'd like to kind of have John Strauss here, who is a Burlington resident, and he works and volunteers his time as an alternate with me for the MPO. And the MPO, again, is the organization where the federal highway dollars come into Massachusetts, and specifically for the Boston region, is then distributed and allocated through this board. We, as Burlington, represent the North Suburban Planning Council, which is made up of 8 communities, and that's kind of listed here, but it's obviously very small. So for a long time, Woburn had the representation of these communities. They stepped down, so we stepped up, and we now represent Wilmington, Tewksbury, Woburn, Winchester, Reading, North Reading, Stoneham, and Lynnfield. And what I wanted to do is really kind of take this opportunity to thank John Strauss, who has been volunteering his time every other Thursday. We have these long meetings online and sometimes in person. But as some of you know, John was originally part of the Town Meeting Transportation Committee, and he worked on producing that report, Stranded in Burlington, really trying to figure out, you know, how do you move about the community without, you know, without a car in some ways. So with his background, his knowledge of this, he's now kind of immersed himself in the complex dynamics of how federal funds get allocated on projects. And what I'd like to do is just give him a chance to share some of the updates, because there have been some changes at the MPO level on their policy. Maybe you can reference a few of the projects, John, and why we've just talked about it being important for us to participate.
Go ahead, John.
If that's okay.
That's, of course.
Thank you.
Sure, just take a couple of minutes. Thank you very much, Melissa. And we're represented on the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which, as Melissa mentioned, allocates the federal highway funds. So when you go to an MPO board meeting, there are representatives from all the districts. There are actually 71 towns, and the city of Boston has a couple of seats, and MassDOT has a couple of seats, and the Federal Highway Administrator has a seat. So it's quite it just represents all of eastern Massachusetts. And so it's important to participate in, because when they take projects that are put into the TIP program, Transportation Improvement Project, you're competing, if you don't, again, it's kind of like what we just went through with the schools. You have to be in there. You have to have your project in there. They have certain requirements they have to meet. And one of the things that has changed is that they no longer, and one of the things that we discussed over the course of the meetings, was they want the money that's given to the Massachusetts from the federal government to be used on active projects. And what has been happening is that certain projects were sort of just, I don't know, kind of floating here and there, drifting on the waves, so to speak, and that's come to an end. So now when we put projects in, they're looking for these projects to meet the milestones. Again, the same kind of milestones that you saw in school construction. There's design milestones, construction milestones, and so forth. And and as a matter of fact, just to emphasize how serious they are about this, at the last Transportation Improvement Project Committee meeting of the MPO, Boston lost $8 million on a project because they could not get themselves together and come up with the standards, a project that had been in the TIP pipeline since 2019. So it's important, as we begin to move forward into kind of the new era of the TIP, that when we work with consultants and so forth on these projects, that we kind of get on their case a little bit and say, these deadlines, don't put us aside. These are deadlines. They have to be met. Otherwise, we're going to be out of the money, and the project's going to be set aside. So just to go over to the projects that Burlington currently has on the TIP, there's the I-95 Route 3 interchange and the Burlington ramp, and that's northbound. That's a MassDOT project led. And I had a chance also to talk to, that's the loop that goes around by the southern part of Lowell Street, where the big electric substation is, and that area is Summit Drive. So I called MassDOT and spoke to David Shedd, and he said that the apartments that have been proposed in front of the planning board are not going to conflict with their proposed improvements to that intersection and that ramp. Going on to the Woburn and Burlington, Cambridge Street and South Bedford Street project, that's ongoing, and we're going to go back to the consultant, and that will probably go on at TIP at some future point. The budget, I'm sorry I didn't bring a slide with me. I didn't know we were going to be going into it this deep. But that's probably going to be on a 2031 or 2032 TIPs. TIPs are 5-year cycles, by the way. Then we have the Wynn Street, Cambridge Street intersection, where we're working with the town of Woburn, and that's on the 2017 TIP, and that is going to be, there's just a couple of things to be settled about that. That's already at the 100% design stage, so that's looking positive. And then finally, the project working on the Middlesex Turnpike, which is just getting underway with the planning process. VHB has done some traffic studies, and so we're going to probably put that on to a future TIP. So that's for current stuff that keeps me busy when I go to the MPO meetings. And if we want to look ahead a little bit, as Melissa was talking about the economic development portion of it, one of the things that we may want to think about is to put in electronic shuttles, people movers. I don't know why, I got to add that on it, and it's unbelievable. Anyway, so we're going to put electric shuttles for intra-Burlington transit. And this would be for the two little sort of kind of separate developments. We have the Northeast Park, so that people that are working up at the Broad Institute and Vericel can go all the way down maybe even into the mall, but at least go to Wegmans, get lunch, do different things like that without having to get in their cars during the lunch hour, which means that you're going to lose your parking spots, so I'm sure they'd be interested in that. And also connecting the Leahy, we'd worked, I can't remember what the consultants were we worked with about the mall area. They were going to put a road through. So connecting the Leahy Clinic with the mall area, that would be another feasibility type study that would be done. These shuttles are in use in various parts of the country. They're also okay to be charged up in cold weather. There's a project in Florida called Lake Nona, which is itself a whole community, and one of these shuttles runs around. So again, it's another good reason to come to Burlington, because you can park once, and then you can go around and do all the business you need to do. If you have to do this, that, or the other, go to Leahy Clinic, go shop, and do whatever you want to do. So that's an attractive, you don't have to hop in your car, drive, park, get out, run around, park, drive back. Also, it's important to remember that the bill to limit driving miles is now in front of the State Senate Ways and Means Committee. So this is something that is gradually gathering momentum. And even though, we're not out in western Massachusetts where you have to drive quite a bit to go anywhere, still, if they have some kind of formula for allocating miles to individuals, this is something, if we have an intra-Burlington transit system, this will be something that'll be more attractive. And I guess that's going to about wrap it up. So thank you
John, I
very
have a
much.
question on.
Thank you, John.
Did you say Wynn and Cambridge?
Yes.
Wynn Street and Cambridge Street.
And Woburn's helping us with that?
Oh, I'm sorry, no. The Woburn project is the South Bedford Street and Cambridge Street.
That's what I.
And they're working with that. And that's, as they say, as I talked to the MassDOT fella, and that's at 100% design. So it's staying on the 2017 tip, because when I went 2 meetings ago, there was a little talk about it being pushed off because.
You mean 2027?
What's that?
2027?
It's on the 2027.
You said 2017, so.
Right. And it was the thinking of just putting it off until 2028, which would mean that we would be waiting forever to get that intersection fixed. And I'm sure everybody is thoroughly sick of that intersection like I am.
Thank you, John Strauss. And Chairman Tigas, if I may, just...
Mike, do you have any questions?
Oh.
For John?
No, I'd just like to thank John for all of his involvement and going to all those meetings every other Thursday. They sound like a blast. So thank you very much for all the work you've done.
You're very welcome.
Nope. Nope. Joe?
Good.
Nick?
I'd love to get more regular MPO updates. Sure. If it's quarterly or whatever makes sense, whatever you guys think makes sense. I think when we talk about like interconnected projects and, how we can map things out, I think that this is a big piece of it. And I'd love to have that more in our line of sight as we talk about other things.
Sure. And we can also bring into focus a little bit on the public transit with the MBTA, which now is, redone the 350 route, so it covers the whole town.
Mr. Espaillo has a question?
John, that vehicle you were talking about, what type of vehicle is it?
It would be, again, I'm sorry I didn't bring it. It would be kind of, if you've ever gone and taken the Silver Line anywhere, to the airport or whatever, it would be a vehicle like that. And so you could get on, there's space to put bags and so forth, and it would be autonomous. And that's why you want to, right now, have it in an enclosed type of community off the main streets. So it's not going to be on the Mall Road, it's not going to be on Cambridge Street, not going to be on Middlesex Turnpike. And then we can use that, there are pilot programs available, so it's not like we're going to jump in and pay for everything. We can evaluate it and see if it makes sense.
I'm sure if there's a grant, Melissa will find it.
Exactly, yep. And the key is, which, Melissa was very smart to come right up and say, park once, because as everybody knows here, you get a parking space, you lose it, and then suddenly, then it starts raining. Wait a minute, I didn't think of that. So,
Chairman Tigas.
Yes, go ahead.
So just to kind of summarize the importance of being on this board, number one, they fund projects from like $5 million to $55 million. So they're significant projects and things that municipalities cannot do alone, or even sometimes in public-private partnerships. So when you think about the town center, how do we improve that roadway? When you think about the work we're doing, visioning on Middlesex Turnpike, and actually really building it, putting it on the tip, being part of the MPO is how you kind of meet your local priorities to kind of the funding opportunities that exist at the state and federal level. And then the other opportunities being connected to kind of the ideas and policies on the regional level are very important. And, you know, this again falls under economic development because, you know, the infrastructure for any kind of development, obviously the nexus is the transportation. How do you get there? Jobs, housing, whatever it is. And as Middlesex Turnpike and any of these areas start to incorporate more people with mixed-use developments, it's important to kind of consider the multimodal in every aspect and every kind of resource we have. So that's the thinking behind that. And I also recognize we have, you know, a business, so economic development, everything from the business right after me with the licensing, Citrus and Salt, who they've been waiting so patiently, and these big infrastructure and strategic planning efforts are all part of what we're doing. Yes, John.
And just to backstop what Melissa was saying about the importance, I should have brought this up probably earlier, is that the town of Belmont on the current tip is upgrading their bike path. And to upgrade their bike path through the town of Belmont, they're receiving $48 million off of the TIP program. $30 million is going to be allocated in 2026 TIP, and then $15 million in future TIPs. So just to let you know, there is money available. We shouldn't be shy, and if we have projects, we just go forward, jump right in, and do our thing. Thank you.
Anything else? Anything further? Oh, thank you for the update.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. Item number 13 is a public hearing. It's a new all-alcohol license, Citrus and Salt, 19 3rd Ave. Gentlemen, just identify yourself when we're ready. This is a public hearing, so I'm going to declare the public meeting open, and I'll be looking for a motion to accept the advertisement as, the written notice as printed.
So moved.
Chairman, I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 500 to accept the legal notice as printed. Gentlemen, can you identify yourself for us?
Sure. Jason Santos, owner, Citrus and Salt.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. For the record, Attorney Mark Vaughn with the law firm of Reamer Bronstein. So very pleased to be before you tonight in connection with the liquor license application. So here representing Citrus and Salt that is excited about the opportunity to occupy the space most recently occupied by Osteria Nino, which was at 19 3rd Avenue. So I had given you some kind of a photo of, you know, the existing location. Just I thought it might be helpful to be able to get your bearings as to the exact location we're talking about. But Osteria Nino operated for probably about 10 years at 19 3rd Avenue, which is right across from Redstone on 3rd Ave, part of the Nordblum 3rd Avenue campus. And this is also right next to where Tony C's is as well. So Jason is a restaurateur with a great depth of experience in the Boston area, operates a Citrus and Salt restaurant today that's in the Seaport, Four Point Channel area, along with buttermilk and bourbon and some other dining concepts that he has initiated through the years. So great depth of experience in the restaurant industry. Certainly understands the role and responsibility that he has as it relates to alcohol and service of alcohol. So something obviously that he has experience with. So the restaurant that would be located here would be Citrus and Salt. It's a restaurant that's kind of focused on the coastal cuisine of Southern California and Mexican kind of Baja influenced menu, and they would be occupying the same space as Osteria Nino. Actually would be the same seat count as well. There's a patio that Nino had that we're actually looking to activate a little bit more, and that's shown on the floor plan. What I did include in those materials that I handed out as well is just a rendering of what they're looking to do is put in a canopy overhang for that outdoor patio area that would be consistent in style with what you would see over at Tony C's. Really trying to make it a little bit more inviting, particularly a little bit more weather tolerant, if you would, to have that roof overhang on it for folks that might be out dining and have some inclement weather all of a sudden. So we have been through the planning board. We had a special permit that we needed to obtain for the restaurant, so that was successfully obtained. And I know Jason's really excited about this, obviously for the restaurant itself, but a resident of the town of Burlington as well, and this will be close to home for him. So, but with that, jump in if I didn't cover anything, so, yeah.
Better than me.
Okay, subcommittee, Mr. Morandi, alcohol subcommittee.
We met a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, and to us, everyone, this was over the, I don't know how many of these I looked at, so this was Sarah's first one, and I'm gonna let her go with it, so that when I leave in a year from now,
Sarah?
we just keep going and going. So,
Yeah, I don't think there were any issues or questions. I do think this looks like a little bit of a different cocktail menu than we saw at that time. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember seeing a picture.
Oh, well, these were just taken off of the existing website for the Boston location.
For the existing site? Okay.
So I think that in this particular instance, obviously, we understand what the local requirements are, so I don't think there's a expectation to have a pitcher of margaritas.
Sangria or margarita.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just know that there's certain regulations around that in
Right.
town, so I would just advise you to
Yeah.
look into that and make sure that there's no issues with that. But I don't remember there being any issue, and I really look forward to it, and I've been advised by people who are fans to push this through, so I think people are excited for
I do
it.
think one of the biggest things we said was that the both of us agreed on that because of what you brought into us the first time. And then once again, we have the whole platform in front of us. We had all this at the meeting, so it gave us a much better view on what was going to happen, the outside canopy, how the bar was going to be set up outside. Assuming in the wintertime, there's going to be plastic sheet around that or whatever kind of barrier to keep the heat in a little bit. I'm sure there's still going to be people out there in the wintertime a little bit, maybe not dead of winter, but everything for us was spot on with what Mark did for you to do this and give it to us. Once again, now the board members have it again. This makes a big, big difference to us on how we do things. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morandi. Michael?
No, I'm just excited for you to come to Burlington. I've heard great things about the Seaport location, and you have a great building in town. That's a great spot that you're going to be landing in here, Burlington. The Nino place is one of my favorite buildings to go to. So I like the improvements on the patio. I'm sure that'll make it a lot more user-friendly than just the kind of the regular patio they had.
Yeah.
And I love that area when they have the music going and a nice summer night. It's a great location. I think you're going to do really well, and very excited for your opening. So thank you, and good luck.
Mr. Priest?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I want to echo the sentiments of my fellow board members. This looks super cool. You know, the menu looks great, to be honest.
I'm so hungry right now.
I'm hungry.
Does it look good? Yeah, it really does. I mean, I don't typically voice my over enthusiasm for menus, but I'm excited for you guys to open. My thing is always making sure the seat count is either equal or has been addressed, and that's just the case. I think having the outdoor seating is going to add a lot of ambiance to the venue. Otherwise, I have no questions. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. I love the canopy idea. That's great because it'll extend your business longer, I believe. And if, like Joe said, if you put plastic around it, maybe even longer. For my hungry colleagues, when do you plan on opening?
I'm shooting to open, well, it keeps getting pushed back, but as of now, I think realistically it could be August 1st.
Okay, that's...
Yeah, we're pulling permits this week, so if that happens quicker, we're ready to start right away.
Okay. Awesome. Anything further from the board? This is a public meeting. Anybody from the public in the room that wants to speak on this? Anybody online from the public that wants to speak on this matter?
Nobody, Mr. Chairman, make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion made and second to close the public hearing. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 500. Public hearing is closed. Okay, that being said, I'll be looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the new all-alcohol license for Citrus and Salt at 19 3rd Ave.
Second, is there a second? Seconded by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, 500. Look at all that waiting for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank
Welcome to
you
Burlington.
Very much.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Keep us posted on the opening.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of a new general license, Ramen Haven at 75 Middlesex Turnpike. Can you come up to the table and introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Good evening, Chair and member of the Select Board. My name is John, and I'm representing Ramen Haven, a proposed restaurant at Burlington Mall location. We just want to do a short introduction of what we do, and then who we are and what are on our menus. We're a team of food enthusiasts, and we want to bring authentic Japanese food to this community. And then this is our third location in Massachusetts. We started last year on August as our first location was open in Berlin, Massachusetts. And then our second location is in Sudbury, which is opening later this month. And we decided that Burlington is the third stop that we want to have the opportunity to join. And so we are pretty experienced, and we work really hard on our menus to bring exciting foods to this community. So on our menu there will be authentic Japanese ramen, and our broth is actually simmered for 8 to 10 hours before they can be served. So it's made from scratch and very natural and rich in flavor. And then we're gonna have appetizer like dumplings, Japanese gyozas, takoyakis, very traditional Japanese foods. And then we're gonna have vegan option, vegetarian option, and then gluten-free options for our customers. We're targeted to open May 1st, and I'm happy to answer any question that you guys have.
Okay. Sarah?
Just one question. About where in the mall is this?
It's in the food court. It used to be a master walk, and we took over from that.
Gotcha.
And yeah, we actually signed the lease with Simon's Mall for South Shore location too. So we're going to Braintree later this year.
Okay, great. That's all I had.
Mr. Spago?
No questions.
Joe? Anything?
I'm just trying to, we have to approve this? This is for a restaurant at the mall, no alcohol?
No alcohol.
I'm confused.
Always.
I don't remember any one of those restaurants at the food court.
Always. Because they've been the same for years.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe not much change.
Maybe in 12 years, I've never seen one change.
The last meeting, is the
All right, okay. I like the, don't help me out, I'm in.
Thank you.
Mr. Priest?
No, I think this is great.
Thank you so much.
I agree with my colleagues here. That being said, Mr. Denizio, anything to add?
Nothing to add, sir.
Nothing? All right, I'll be looking for a motion.
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve new general license for Ramen Haven at 75 Middlesex Turnpike, Burlington Mall.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, 5-0-0 in favor.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Welcome to town. Okay, item number 15, approval for temporary secondhand junk dealer, Heartland Roadshow at 5 Wheeler Road. I assume they're online? Anybody online?
Raise your hand if you're on there.
Okay,
They're supposed, their first show they're looking at is 4/28.
Kind of have to go to the meeting.
No, yeah.
Before that, or they be told that they
All right.
can't do that week.
I mean, I'm opposed to the idea of it in general, and I think that we should look at banning kind of mobile secondhand junk dealing in town.
Okay.
Just to,
Well, we can look at that in the future, but if they're not here, they're not here.
Can you talk about that a little bit more, Nick? Because I don't, can you just talk about
All right, while you
why?
talk about that, I'll be right back. Don't charge me.
Jim doesn't want to hear it.
Jim's like, only that.
That's not the reason.
Yeah, so I just I find there to be a lot of uncertainty around how secondhand mobile junk dealing is conducted. There's no reason why, if they've got this many shows, they shouldn't just open an establishment somewhere and conduct business in a single location in full plain view of everyone with a license. You know, the coming and the going, the not knowing how they're appraising, you know.
Not very regulated.
Yeah, it just, there's a lot of moving parts that I don't like about it. You know, and the last time they were in front of us, I just was not a fan of the overall, hey, we're coming in and we're gonna do this, we've been doing it, and, you know, just, it all felt strange to me. You know, I mean, I'm open to talking about it more, but, you know, I'm just listening to my gut on this one. You know, and again, now they're here looking for, you know.
It's a lot of dates.
Yeah, just a ton of dates just to kind of roll in and just do this.
And to have them not be here, and our next meeting is 2 days before they want to have their first one.
Right. You know, like it just all is not sitting well with me. And again, like I know that I shouldn't be making full plain decisions based on just my gut, but this is the second time they've been in front of us. You know, it is not sitting right with me. So I'm open to discussing it more. I'm also fine just telling them flat out no right now for this, and then having a further discussion. If you guys want to have them come in to have a conversation about it, I just don't know that they're gonna be able to provide any information that's gonna make us feel better or worse about how we feel about it in general.
Well, we'll just move on from that.
So do we want to postpone it? And
Do you want them on the 27th?
Yeah, have them on the next agenda.
If they want to still do it.
Yeah. Okay, says the manager was supposed to be here, but, okay, item number 16, approval for experiential use, 90 Middlesex Turnpike. Mr. Denizio.
Sure. Just a little history on this and what it is and why it's here in front of you. Melissa Tentakalis and I had a meeting with Reamer and Bronstein. Mr. Buckley and Christine Hung came to see us to talk about a company that wants to come to town here and was looking at a space at 90 Middlesex Turnpike. The history on the site is that there was a lawsuit that had a settlement agreement many, many years ago, that there was a use restriction on the site that limited amusement. And that was things like bowling alleys, pool halls, things like that. The reason they came to see us is because there's, you know, the feeling was that this proposed use, which is Adventure Burlington LLC, is sort of like an escape room. I think everybody got a chance to see what the slides look like and what they do. It doesn't have food or alcohol license or anything like that. So it wasn't a use that was similar to what was in the restrictions. So they wanted to come and see if the board was okay with this use going in there before they went through the whole process. Now, what we're here for tonight is to say that the board does or does not feel like this restriction violates that settlement agreement, and there is, to add to the complexity of it, there is a provision in that agreement that allows the board to decide whether they want or don't want to uphold the restriction. So even if it were something that is restricted, the board could decide we would still want to allow that to come in and not restrict it any further. That was just part of the agreement, probably so that the restriction didn't last forever. So after talking to them, they would still have to go through the special permit process, which would be required. That 90 Middlesex Turnpike is part of a PDD over there, so they're going to have to go through that process with the planning board. This would just be to let them know that the select board doesn't think this violates the restriction and that they could move forward, and they wouldn't be worried about going through that whole process, spending a bunch of money, and then find out that the board did in fact want to restrict that area from this use. I did tell you a little bit about the use. There's a specific motion that we got from Attorney Mead for us to if the board so choose, to make that motion and vote on that to allow this use to continue to go forward. I think the feedback we got from Melissa was this is a great use because it's going to get people over there. But there's a time limit on it. It's usually an hour or two that you're renting this specific room for, or multiple rooms for, and then there's no place for you to eat or drink after, so you're going to go somewhere else, maybe down to the mall, maybe to one of the adjacent properties. So they felt like this was a great use for that spot. So I just wanted to share that with you, too.
Thank you, Mr. Denizio. Before we get to any motion, is there any discussion about this? Mr. Espejo?
No, I think it's, I like these experimental uses, and if it's like an escape room, I think bringing a different variety of things for people to do is always good, and we're always looking to bring people into town. I think it's all good things. I'm in favor of it.
Mr. Priest?
Yeah, this Activate, business is very much like a level 99, if anyone's ever seen that. They have a location in South Boston, South Bay. It makes sense. I quite honestly didn't understand why we said no to Dave & Buster's, at the time. And I'll say it, right? Because there's Dave & Buster's in Woburn, and they're doing great. They're doing great. We opted not to, fine, that's fine. But we have an opportunity now to put something like this up in that location. A location has been struggling kind of since day one. It would add people to the couple of restaurants that are there, would bring people to that area. It's walkable to Barnes & Noble and Yard House. So again, like, people can park and they can move, and if they're there for an hour, they're gonna stay, right? It makes sense. So I fully support this. I think, again, when it comes to diversifying the base, it makes sense. Try different things. The worst thing that happens is that, in a couple of years they close because, everyone tried it and didn't like it anymore. So I say we give it a shot.
Thank you. Ms. Colley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree. I think this would be a great use of the space. I think I'm just a little bit confused on the process. So as of now, the zoning does not allow for this use. Is that correct?
Correct. There's the restriction on it, and to go through the zoning, there's a PDD there anyway, so they're going to need a special permit anyway.
So this would be a rezoning, or is it just us saying we're allowing it because the declaration says that we can?
Yeah, so as far as what the select board is doing is saying that not going to enforce the restriction. We think that it isn't in violation of the restriction, and that, so that's the only act the select board would have to do. The business will have to go through the same process that any business that's going in over there would have to go through with this.
Meaning going to town meeting for a change of zoning?
No.
Okay.
No,
Just going to the planning board?
Yes.
Just the planning board. Okay. And then, okay. That's fine. But that zoning restriction will remain, although we're allowing this usage?
Correct.
Okay. That's all.
Hold on. Hold on, let me just get to Joe. Anything?
Well, I think it's a great idea, even with everything we have to do to go through this.
Right.
So, stupid question. We say yeah. Planning board says no. That's still, like, can they say no just because?
I've still got to go through the special permit.
They can deny the special permit.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll leave it there.
That's their area, though.
Absolutely, absolutely.
To me, this is like, to my previous conversation, or comment to Melissa, this is one of these things we leave town for. We don't have one. So I see this as a great fit for the town because it's something new. It's not going to compete with restaurants. It's actually going to supplement them because people aren't going to come here just to play a game and leave. They might want to have dinner, lunch, whatever it may be. So I'm definitely in favor of this. If there's nothing further, there's a motion written up by town council. If Mr. Espejo will be willing to make that motion.
I am willing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I move that pursuant to the declaration of restrictions for 90 Middlesex Turnpike recorded in Book 61262, page 295 of the Middlesex Registry of Deeds restriction, that the proposed use called Activate Burlington as set forth in the letter of April 8th, 2026 from Robert Buckley Esquire is consistent with the restriction and is not prohibited thereunder.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Okay, item number 17, approval of the May 2026 town meeting warrant index. Not voting on them individually, this is the index. Mr. Denizio.
So this is an annual housekeeping. In Burlington, all of the articles are put forward by the select board. So what the select board needs to do is approve the index of articles that just allows them to be heard at town meeting. You will have a different opportunity to weigh, in the next agenda item, we will weigh in on some of these articles, but we will do those separately. This is just approving the index as was shared with you, what was finalized on the 27th and shared.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Denizio. Nick, any questions?
No.
Michael?
No.
Sarah?
I just had a question about the reason that the general articles are broken up. Always? In what
You mean just
way?
the very first one is general and then the other?
General articles, green paper, and then it goes to the financial articles, golden paper, and then general articles, continued green paper. Just, I don't know why.
So the first one is always first, and in May, town meeting, we do financial articles first. So that one general article, Article 1, isn't even,
It's an update.
Not even a general article.
it's not even really a general article.
Okay. It's just an update from
Yeah.
reports of town offices. Okay.
Joe, anything?
No.
Okay, that being said, I'll be looking for a motion to approve the index of the May 2026 town meeting warrant articles.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Okay, item number 18, approval of warrant articles. Patrick?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have 13 articles before the board this evening, so I can walk through them. I know the backup is in your drive, but happy to answer any questions you have on any of these articles this evening.
Okay, just for purposes, you're going to go through all 13 at once, and if we have a question, we'll hold it, or is that the purview of the board wants to do that? Go through all of them
Or
at
ask
once?
questions at the time.
Or ask questions at the time, then if we so choose, approve them all at once, unless someone has to abstain.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Patrick.
Thank you very much. So the first article is Article 3-1. This is a warrant article for capital request for public building accessibility and security. So I know that Burlington has spent a lot of time and resources talking about cybersecurity in the last several years, and this article deals with physical security of our municipal buildings. So what this would do is for the 25 center, 29 center, 33 center, and 61 center, it would move from a physical key program on all the doors to a fobbed system on the exterior and some interior doors. This is not going to change the public access to any spaces that they have access to right now, but really bring us to what is a best practice in physical plant security. A keyed system is pretty difficult to manage, track, and really hold accessibility to. So what we're looking to do is bring these 4 buildings in the same security program that we have at the temporary police station, Fire Station Headquarters, Fire Station 2, and I'm missing one. Oh, and 1 Great Meadow and 10 Great Meadow. So now all municipal buildings, if this is approved, will be on the same door management system and security access management system. So this is a comprehensive system that would allow us to manage who has access to what doors when, after hours, during hours, if there are private office spaces that the public doesn't generally enter, like, for example, the treasurer's office has a keyed locked door at this point, and that's because there's cash and information behind the counter. And a keyed system is also sort of a slower and less reliable system than we would have with the fobs. So really happy to go into each of these buildings individually or ask questions, but this is really sort of just a best practice for bringing our physical security to where it ought to be at this point.
Any questions on this article?
I do.
Okay, Sarah.
So I see for the fiscal year, this is 2027, then there's 28 and 29, also 100,000?
Just 100,000 this year.
Right, but
yeah, that was,
those are in the future?
yeah, no, those are zero. Those are supposed to be zero. So the idea that we were initially depicting was we were going to do a multi-year step-up program for this, but based on where the quotes came in, we can accomplish it in 1 year. And so the other years are supposed to, what is that supposed to signify is that additional tax levy projects in those fiscal years. So part of the capital funding model this year is to introduce the new funding source of sort of operating capital or raise and appropriate capital. And so the sheet for the backup needs to be amended that it's just 100,000 in 1 year for this program.
Nothing gets by her. I'm telling you.
For this program, but the $100,000, there will be for something else.
Correct. So we're
Do
going
you
to
have an idea what that is?
Not yet. So what we're going to try to do is increase the raise and appropriate amount by $100,000 a year to diversify the funding sources. And we haven't determined that exactly, but what we've proposed in the budget book is some of the projects and programs that are on an annual basis, like what might be good for that is the athletic field improvement for the recreation department. It's something that we spend the same amount every single year. So, really the idea is to start to program that amount that is what I refer to as program-based capital. And so this is the first start at that. So there may be next year another program like this, but the idea is, things that are sort of almost regular and recurring type building maintenance items.
Okay, so in terms of the security and making it the same across town buildings, once this project is done, it will be equitable across town?
That's correct.
Okay.
And be able to be managed under one resource.
Okay, great, thank you.
Joe, anything? I have one quick question. You may or may not have the answer to this. Does it still have physical key backup or battery backup in case of power failure?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, there will be power redundancy as part of this, as part of the system here through networked and universal uninterruptible power supplies in each building connected to this as part of it's all part of the fee, but there will still always be keys for when we need a key.
Okay, very good. Next article.
All right, the next one is 3-2. This is $30,000 for fitness room equipment replacement at the Council on Aging. So if you've been into that fitness room, it's a sort of a smaller room, but it's also a room that has a few different physical fitness machines. And frequently, or at least the times that I've been in there, one of them has been offline. They're older machines. Starting to get, service and repair is not quite that easy on this type of equipment. So what we're looking to do is replace 3 treadmills, a recumbent bike, and an upright bike. And I know that this is really an area that we're seeing significant growth in the sort of elder services space and aging services space is safe, monitored, and comfortable physical fitness. So this is really rose to be the priority for the Council on Aging this year to replace these machines.
Any questions on this one? Okay, next one.
Okay, the next 2 are a little bit different. And you'll see the estimated cost is different from the request because we worked with the Conservation Department to amend the request as it's to fit into the capital funding plan. So the first one is C-3, the Land Management and Acquisition Program, and the request is for $20,000 for this year, and $20,000. What we're going to recommend is probably $20,000 in 2029 and 2031, depending on where we fall in the 5-year plan. So the idea behind this is to provide the Conservation Department with a fund of money that is available for when certain pieces of property may come up for either donation or strategic acquisition and require either an appraisal or require sort of legal fees to do a closing. It's not often that, oftentimes what happens is these properties become available to us if an estate is created based on someone's passing or a parcel change. So this really provides the tools to conservation to be able to act a little bit quicker rather than wait for town meeting to do that. So again, legal fees, appraisals, and actually in some cases acquiring that land when possible. So the idea is to sort of create that fund that can be built up in order to empower the Conservation Department to make those decisions.
Thank you, Patrick. Any questions?
Yes.
Okay, Sarah?
The backup says 40,000?
Yes, that was what I mentioned at the beginning. The request was 40,000. We're recommending 20 because that's what we can fit in the capital improvement plan.
Okay. And then my other question was, how often does it come up that land comes up for sale as an option? And
it can ebb and flow. A lot of times what people are doing is they get engaged with conservation activities or they get engaged in some sort of hiking or accessibility programs, and they either have a piece of land that abuts conservation land that they are looking to sort of combine or grow to that conservation space. So it does happen pretty frequently, not every day, but it's something that that they see enough to be able to want to have sort of that appraisal sort of fund or acquisition fund. I think that in my experience, being ready to go when these things matter a lot, sometimes you can significantly expand conservation space if you are ready and the funds are available. Otherwise, sometimes, estates get sold or parcels get sold or the interest sort of wanes. But it's regular enough for us to sort of try to be prepared for it.
And is there criteria for the land that would be?
Yeah, I think that would be part of the sort of recommendation from the Conservation Department and the Conservation Commission, is if they see the type of land that would enhance their portfolio, or they have land in mind already that they may know that they want to go seek out. So the condition would be, does this expand their portfolio for public access? Does this allow them to make strategic investments in sort of trail maintenance or invasives, which are a big deal? So I think that as they come to it, they do the sort of site level evaluation, bring it to the commission, and then it would still come to the select board.
Okay, that's all, thank you.
Jonah, anything? Okay. Next one, Patrick?
This is a similar approach for a different, let's say, issue with conservation, and similarly, the backup is different from the recommendation based on what we were able to work with conservation on. The request is for $50,000, and we're recommending $25,000. So conservation land is not land that is traversed every day or have dedicated management, doesn't have a highway department, doesn't have a rec maintenance program. So as people are on the conservation land, or as our sort of monitors or wardens see that there is issues with some of the land, things like hazard trees, streams overflowing, footbridges, if a dam is created upstream and it changes the trajectory of the land downstream, these things come up, and the idea behind a hazard mitigation program is to provide conservation a fund to look at that is sort of almost like operating capital within a capital article, so that the funds can move from year to year and they can make strategic investments based on what happened in the previous year. I've seen this be a really successful model, and sort of worked with Eileen to develop this as sort of a land management program. The idea too is be able to handle what happens in the coming year, but also have a fund that can roll forward in an article and create additional funds to make even more investments in conservation land. So it's sort of got that dual role of a proactive approach while also having resources to react to what happens in nature.
Questions on this one?
Similar question to my previous one is, do we know how many funds have been spent on these kind of things in the last several years?
We can find more data in that, but I know that oftentimes what we run into is, particularly with trees that are abutting conservation land, it can be difficult to either have our staff manage that, because this is not stuff that we can send people into with a truck, but sort of that aging population of trees makes this more prevalent. The more prevalence of invasive species that are really having a detriment to our conservation land, that is becoming more of an issue. So I can find some more data on that, but I know that those two issues alone, are make it difficult to manage with the resources they have now.
Okay, and then, so it's 25,000 essentially this year. Those funds roll over year to year. You see how much you spent, and when it gets low, they go back to replenish it, kind of thing?
Correct.
Okay.
That's the approach.
Okay, thank you.
May I just add something, Mr. Chairman? One of the things that both of those, or really all three of the articles have talked about so far, has been we don't have a place to go when one of the things like this has just happened to us this past year about land. There's a dispute over some land, or there's a land that might be a good opportunity beside a conservation area, but we don't have the money to go and do an appraisal in the conservation budget. We don't have it in the select board budget. There's not a spot
our budget is big, but it's all people. So there's no discretionary or there's no just pot of money for us to go to things like that. So this is to try to create in the operating budget for the first item, and then with these, to create a little pot that can roll over year to year for these things that come up. Now, so someone may say, have the same question and say, well, what specifically has come up that, and we can get that data, but it's sort of the unknown one-off type of thing that then we have to kick the can down the road or potentially lose the opportunity to jump at it.
Anything further?
Just one last question about these last two, given that they were split in half essentially from what's in the backup. Have those conversations been had with Eileen? And
Yes.
they're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, in the end, what could fit in our, parameters of the capital plan and the way we're trying to move it forward, just could have maybe just done
Totally fine
all of
with
one
that.
and none of the other, but that doesn't.
Okay, Patrick, next one.
Thank you. The next is for our annual command vehicle replacement program within the fire department. So there are 6 command vehicles within the fire department, and this would be replacing Car 2, which is about 11 years old, I believe, and the issue with that is while it has low mileage, relatively speaking, for our fleet, there's significant rot to the vehicle, and this is a frontline response vehicle. It's a response vehicle of the assistant chief, and the idea here is to, it's been identified as the sort of highest need in the command fleet at this point, and so the total cost of $94,000 would be for the vehicle, the upfitting of the vehicle, so light, siren, as well as the radio. And you can see in the backup there are other command vehicles slated to be replaced in future years. Those are sort of lesser, so almost like second-line vehicles that fire prevention, training, and EMS coordinator.
Any questions? Nick?
Patrick, did you say there was a significant frame rot?
Yes, yes, and Chief Brown actually had for Ways and Means, the vehicle parked out front, and the Ways and Means Subcommittee went and looked at it, and I believe there's actually images in here as well. Yes.
Good shots of it.
Of the frame rot. And so what are we doing differently from some of this? Now we have the wash bay on Great Meadow. That is a significant reducer, for lack of a better term, in salt. And then also the undercoating spray that we're doing from fleet maintenance. Those two things should reduce the type of rot that we are seeing in this vehicle.
And which Chief Brown was it? No, just kidding.
One of the items that has come up is that make, that escape. We've had the same rot in the same places, and sometimes that just happens for a particular make or model.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. When I saw it, my first thought was we just approved a new
Header?
No.
It's the Command Car 1 was last year, yep.
Last year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do it one a year,
1 a year for how many years?
every year. There's 6 and they go out in 6, right? We do one a year?
We try to, I think Chief Brown is hoping to get more like 9 years out of it. There is 6 command vehicles, and then there's another, what's part of this here is a pickup truck they use in the forestry response and things like that. So what we're trying to do is illustrate in the capital program that essentially that every year almost, at least until 2031, there is a, what we'll call command or fleet vehicle for the fire department being replaced.
Yeah. So I guess barring frame rot, right, we should look at the possibility of, does it make sense to bring on another mechanic, or someone with body shop experience who can help extend the life of, standard vehicles anyways, in our fleet. And I only propose that because I feel like in general, cars don't last like they used to. Nothing does. But it would be great to say, oh, instead of living 9 years, we can actually push it to 15.
It's a conversation we have regularly with the fire department in particular because of our emergency vehicles and the need to have those be frontline 24/7 response and to be the most reliable vehicles we have.
No doubt.
So, it is an area that we've been paying a lot of attention to, fleet maintenance.
Yeah, I believe it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, anything further? Okay, next one, Patrick.
Thank you very much. So Article 3-6, this is the cardiac monitor equipment replacement. So these are critical pieces of equipment and machinery within the ALS ambulances. These are what essentially provide monitors towards when there's a response, the cardiac monitor and defibrillators that are in these units, they're at their end of their expected life, about 7 years old. So there's 3 of them that we use for our ambulances, and they're compatible with Leahy. We've worked, our EMS lieutenant has worked diligently to identify the product. So the place that we are bringing them most frequently, the equipment is compatible there. And we've worked hard with this company to negotiate a price fix through the end of the fiscal year, so we've been able to make sure that we're able to accomplish this as well. And then there's also some trade-in value for the current pieces of equipment we have, but critical sort of life-saving and life-monitoring piece of equipment in our ambulance.
Any questions on that?
So, sorry, Patrick.
Sorry.
The reason that the request is so close to the quote amount is because of the fix in the price?
Yes, yeah. Oftentimes what we have to do is build in, like the last request, a contingency. But for this, we've negotiated a price lock all the way to July 1.
Okay, that's all.
Okay, next one, Patrick.
Thank you. The next one. So the next several articles are really annual articles that are mostly, housekeeping articles. So Article 4 is the authorization of the revolving account spending limits. So this is not an appropriation. This is just a approval from town meeting, which is required to annually vote the spending limits of our revolving accounts. So revolving accounts are a little bit different than the general fund. We received revenue from fees for service. They remain in that expenditure, that remain in that revolving account, and then can be used to offset the costs of the services being provided. So this is an annual article, and no changes in the expenditure limits from last year.
Okay, any questions on this one? Okay, next one.
Okay, the next article is the acceptance of Chapter 90 funds. This is almost a town meeting sort of parochial thing where every year we come and we accept the grant. Town meeting really doesn't need to do this anymore, but some towns continue to do this. It's pretty common. These are the funds that we received from, or that we will receive from Massachusetts for road work, totaling $1.4 million for next year. And so just sort of the usual acceptance of these funds.
Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, next one.
The next one is our MWRA I&I debt service. So essentially what we're doing here is taking funds from the sewer I&I or inflow infiltration fund, which will allow us to pay the debt service that we have for the 0% interest loans we have with MWRA for our inflow and infiltration debt service for the program that supports the debt service that supports the program for inflow and infiltration.
Any questions on this one? Okay, next one.
Okay, the next is a sewer enterprise fund. Basically, what this is authorizing is expenses related from our sewer enterprise fund for largely $6.5 million for the assessment that we pay to MWRA to convey our wastewater to be treated, and in addition is $200,000 for sewer pump maintenance for a total of $6,705,000.
Questions? Okay, next one.
The next one is Article 8. This is something that we're all familiar with, I think, the transfer from the Water Stabilization Fund. So this may be the last year, hopefully, that we have this. If the board and town meeting wants to establish an enterprise fund, as we'll have at another meeting. But what this does is it transfers money from the it uses money from the stabilization fund to pay the assessment for water to the MWRA.
Questions? Next one?
The next one is Article 12. This is a transfer from our receipts reserved accounts for expenses in the fire department. So from our ALS funds, revenue from that goes into what is known as a receipts reserved account. And then we use those funds to offset a portion of the fire department budget. $300,000 offsets overtime, and $60,000 offsets equipment, for a total of $360,000 coming from this account for the FY27 budget.
Questions? Next one?
The next one, Article 13, is the Cable Access Enterprise Fund. How this works, everybody who has a cable bill pays a small assessment known as the PEG fee, or Public Educational and Government. That fee then comes to us as almost a pass-through, and then we provide it to BCAT, which is airing this meeting right now and airing many public meetings, providing many public services that way. And this essentially sets a not-to-exceed amount of that grant of $550,000, and that'll be contingent really on what we receive based on the cable providers' subscriptions.
Questions? Nick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I ask the question every year about streaming services picking up and cable subscriptions going down. My question this year is, did last year did they hit that number that was requested? Do we know? Did they actually get the fulfilled revenue?
No, it was just shy of it, but this is what we approve as a not to exceed. So they only get what we collect. So
totally fine. I'm just more curious if we're starting to see a drop off there. Because what I don't want to see is BCAT not be able to perform the services that we've grown accustomed to, and what that means from a town perspective in terms of cost offset regarding the revenue that they receive from the pay.
yeah, it's a conversation every town that has one is gonna have to say, is it a priority to build it into the budget, or find another way to fund it, because sooner or later. Yeah. Although we thought the cut the cord was going to have a quicker effect. I don't have cable at my house.
I was going to say, it seems like, after the big rush to get rid of cable, we seem to have stabilized to a certain extent. So I'd be curious to, and I'll probably reach out to Jen Dodge and the board and just ask, like, over the last, say, 6 years, have they seen a decrease, from a certain number to where they are today and the overall revenue. But if it continues to drop, if it is dropping, I personally believe that it is a necessity for a town like ours to have access to a resource like BCAT, and that we should find a way to help, subsidize it to a certain extent.
Patrick, any more?
No, that's it. Thank you very much.
So I just want to see if we get these correct. We'd be voting on Articles 3-01, 3-02, 3-03, 3-04, 3-05, 3-06, and Articles 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, and 13.
Yes.
Okay, any motion to approve those together?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve those articles as one vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 5-0-0. Next article, approval of the operating budget. Patrick?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members. So as of March 23rd, you had reviewed all budgets and approved accordingly. We have one change that we caught from what I'll call sort of a quality and version control in the police department budget. We noticed an issue with something that wasn't included in a version that was supposed to be just before the Ways and Means meeting, so we postponed the Ways and Means vote. It was a difference of about $55,000. It still keeps the town under the guideline for next year, or for the FY27 budget overall. And so there's the new budget for the police department is $11,147,087, or a 2.42% increase, or an increase of $263,200. And the prior version that you voted was a 1.92% increase. So fortunately, we caught the error. Unfortunately, the error existed. So I appreciate the reconsideration of this budget.
Any discussion on the updated police budget? It being none, I'll be looking for, Michael, you have a comment?
Yeah, Greg, how did you find the error, Patrick? What happened?
So we were reviewing with the chief and the budget team, and we noticed a discrepancy in one of the salary areas about what it was essentially, what the formula was driving, and that's how we caught it. And then we saw what version that was connected to, and so now we know how to. Now we have another check on our checklist for each department.
Just curious. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, anything further?
Appreciate the accountability.
Okay, motion to approve the police budget as presented, as amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 500.
Thank you very much.
That's the only operating budget, correct, that we're talking about?
Correct.
All right. Subcommittee reports. Nick?
Yeah, I actually don't have anything for subcommittee reports. I want to say two things. First off, I know we're all going to say it, you know, we had our annual town election. I appreciate everyone who ran. Congratulations to the winners. A huge thank you to our town clerk, the staff, the poll workers, the people who volunteered for the student vote, which is one of the coolest things from a civic engagement perspective that I think that we do in this community. My kids came out, they voted, you know, it made them feel like they were engaged in the process, you know, and here we are, you know. So thank you to everyone involved, everyone who volunteered, and everyone who came up to vote. And then this begins my annual shtick for the parade. The 4th of July parade is right around the corner. This year's a big one because the town, well, the country is celebrating its 250th anniversary. We are trying to go all out, which is a loaded thing for us to try and do because there's only a handful of us running things. So if someone sees this and they want to volunteer or they can engage in some way, you know, in helping us, you know, we are more than happy to, you know, add volunteers. It's like 3 or 4 of us right now that are, you know, kind of making it go. You know, and then Nikki Cadillac, you know, through the Burlington Bus will be doing her now 2nd annual picnic on the Common right after the parade. So we're working in conjunction with her to make that happen. You know, but because the committee's so small, what you guys and whatever we'll see is, you know, the committee's asking for a lot more money this year from town meeting because we don't have the physical volunteer capacity to go out and sponsor and do fundraisers. So, you know, to go bigger and to make even just to do the parade as it was, we would need, you know, to go bigger in terms of a number, but we're going to wind up going bigger even still. We're going to try to get fireworks, we're going to try to get some more, you know, performers, we're going to try to really, you know, amp it up and do more banners to celebrate the 250th. So, you know, we're trying to do more with less, and we need the dollars to do it, so hopefully town meeting will see that. You know, but yeah, it's something, you know, it's a labor of love, I think. You know, but every year I sit here and blather on about it because hopefully someone is out there watching and says, yeah, I can give a couple hours here or there, you know, heading into the parade. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Nick said about the election. Congratulations to all the winners, and thank you to everyone who put their name on the ballot. It's not easy. It's to put your name out there and face the slings and arrows of the voting populace and the voters, and all for the wonderful chance to volunteer your free time for the betterment of our town. So I'm thankful for everyone on the ballot, and also thankful for everyone involved with the election, from Jen, our town clerk, and the town clerk's office, to the election workers, to the custodial staff, to our police duty, to everyone who had a hand involved in making sure that we had fair and free elections and that everyone got to come out and get their voice heard. So thank you very much. I'm very grateful for that. Another committee I'm the liaison for is Youth and Family Services. And I don't really ever have an update from Youth YFS because they do such a great job, and a lot of stuff they do without any fanfare or any, announcement because of the nature of their work. And I think it's very important work. And I go to the meetings and I sit there and I hear all the stories of what's going on and what's all the things they do with their clinicians and mental health and how that's so important these days, especially in these times. I feel like everyone's so busy and the air feels heavy, and making sure that your mental health is crucial to living a good life. And it's been an issue that I really want to do something about for a long time. And speaking of Youth and Family Services, I didn't really even know that we had all of those things available to residents that they do. And you could pretty much say that for a lot of things across the board here in town. Burlington, we're very fortunate that we offer so many great services, like our great rec department, our great sports programs, and Youth and Family Services is another one of those things. So in that vein, I was talking to Christopher Bree, who runs, I don't know if you're all familiar with her, she runs Shift Studios in Woburn, hopefully soon to be Burlington, and it's a fitness studio with a mental health kind of background to it. So she focuses not only on you physically and you mentally. We were both talking about how we want to do something to kind of promote mental health, and with that, she mostly came up with the idea we're going to have our Burlington's first mental health awareness night on May 14th, right smack dab in the middle of Mental Health Awareness Month at 6:00 p.m. in the Grandview Farm. And what we're all going to do is it's going to be an informational night just to let people know what's available to them, what services we offer here in town. We're going to have representatives from Youth and Family Services, Christine Concession from schools to talk to parents, Marge from the COA will talk to any older residents, Karen, our mental health clinician, who's a huge resource this town has for Burlington Police, will also be there. And it's going to be a non-judgmental, non-partisan, non-threatening, open to everybody event just to let people know what in town is available to them. I mean, it's something I've struggled with, and it's okay not to be okay. And I think making sure everyone is okay mentally and their mental health is paramount these days. So we're going to see how that goes. I hope you can all make it on May the 14th at Grandview, and I'm excited for the event. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sarah?
I have nothing this week.
Ms. Brandy?
I'm going to let go.
Okay.
Oh, good.
All right, yeah, I got nothing for this meeting. Mr. Denizio, Chairman's report?
Nothing to
I'm sorry, Town Administrator's report, I read the line.
add. Nothing to add, sir.
Okay.
I'll just say one thing.
Yes.
Town offices are closed on Monday, April 20th.
Patriots Day.
Patriots Day.
Yeah, nothing further. I'll be looking for a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.
Now you're going to do the button.